Hello, I'm Mike Holman, Vice President of Research at Lux Research, and we're here at the Lux Executive Summit in Boston with Bill Benson, who's Director of Advanced Technologies at Worthington Industries. Talk about innovation and some of the interesting things that you guys are working on there. But I thought to start off, for people who may not know or not be as familiar with Worthington, it's actually an interesting company. It's sort of best known as a steel company, but you also have these businesses in cabs and fuel systems and some things that are more sort of downstream integrated. So
that's right.
Yeah. So a little picture of the business and how the innovation team that you're a part of kind of fits into the different business units.
Yeah, sure. So we're about a 60-year-old company. We were founded as a steel processing company, and we do all kinds of precision forming for steel. We have cold roll, hot roll facilities. We do slitting. We do galvanizing, galvannealing. Pretty much all the high precision things that add value to steel for our customers. About 40 years ago, we purchased a pressure cylinders business, and so we make about 80 million pressure cylinders a year, from the 14-ounce Holman propane cylinders that you're real familiar with at Dick's and Cabela's, all the way up to large industrial cylinders and everything in between. About probably 7 or 8 years ago, I think we purchased Burns-O-Matic, and that's right now, in addition to a small business where we sell helium as a party time kind of a thing. That's our only other consumer business right now. And you're right. A few years ago, we started noticing that a lot of our large CNG cylinders were being used by companies to develop fuel systems for compressed natural gas, and so we've purchased a couple of those businesses to enter that market and actually just get closer to the customer.
Mm-hmm. And so your role is Director of Advanced Technologies. You're responsible for helping to bring some innovation into the company across these businesses. Can you talk a little bit about how the innovation program is set up?
Yeah, sure. So the innovation team is really one of 3 growth levers for the company. One being transformation, and that team is a corporate team that looks inward at streamlining and optimizing business processes, operations, and all of that kind of stuff. There's a strong team in mergers and acquisitions, and then there's this innovation team that I'm a part of. And the innovation team is actually kind of a 3-headed beast. It's run by Michael Liu, who is our VP for Innovation. He came from Procter & Gamble, where he was a principal with the Clay Street Project, and so he's got a deep, long background in consumer products innovation. We have another group that's led by Greg Ames, another Procter & Gamble vet, and he leads our customer insight, new product development, industrial design, and product design group. And then we have another team that's led by Andy Erickson, and he leads the innovation strategy group, and they look at emerging trends. They help us really get into investigating businesses and outside opportunities. And then I was the last ad as far as the directors go, and I'm, as you said, the director for advanced technologies, but the idea here is that I will be in charge of R&D for the company. I will also do the tech scouting and the technical due diligence and all of those kinds of things that enforce all of those corporate growth teams.
Yeah, it's interesting, having the P&G vets, obviously Procter & Gamble, consumer products company, and really famous for their deep understanding of the consumers and consumer ethnography and all the things that they do to build that consumer relationship. Worthington, you mentioned there's a couple of consumer businesses, but still mainly a B2B company, right? So
yeah,
how do you translate some of those principles into what you do for Worthington?
So we are taking these simple principles that people have developed over their careers, looking at consumer insight, and all kinds of sophisticated techniques at at getting at really what the consumer wants and what the customer wants. And now we're starting to apply those to some of our industrial customers. We've had great success recently on a project for one of our oil and gas businesses. And we're asking our customers fundamental user questions. What do you want? What do you really need? What do you really expect this piece of equipment to do? And the responses are pretty overwhelming. I mean, they are surprised that we're asking those kinds of questions, for one. They've never been asked those questions before. They're very happy to work with us to help us make our product better to help them.
Mm-hmm. And so when you get some consumer insight, or whether it's from like the work you're doing with the oil and gas customer, or as you mentioned with the fuel systems business, you saw where some of your products were being used and wanted to get closer to the customer there. How does the work that your team might do relate to, you mentioned this also, the M&A function, the other parts of the innovation organization overall? Sort of how do you decide, which part of the organization is going to tackle this challenge, or are you both coming at it from different directions?
Mm-hmm.
How do you kind of integrate the three different approaches that you mentioned?
Well, the folks work really well together, and these are really relatively small teams, and it's really all about communication at that level. We work really hard to make sure that we have our bases covered, that we're not really stepping on people's toes or everything. But really, those kinds of solutions are all around proactive communications. And it's an ongoing project, right? I mean, sometimes we miscommunicate, but we're getting better and better at it, and we're starting to establish some best practices internally so that we can all kind of understand where we slot in and then where we need to trickle out of a project like that.
Mm-hmm. And then, approach, how much of what you're doing is based on sort of improving the existing product set and offerings for the customer, versus looking for other opportunities to get into really new businesses, as you did earlier with the fuel systems?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do a lot of help on sustaining products, and we do a lot of help to help the current businesses and with the current sets of products, make them a little better, refine packaging in some cases. We do a lot of help with kind of manufacturing issues and failure analyses and those kinds of things. So the way there is to just kind of show our value as kind of a service provider to those businesses by helping them with the day-to-day short-term turnarounds. Yeah, I know that's always a challenge when you're maintaining the support for an innovative organization. You've got to be able to show some of those kind of concrete near-term wins and things that serve the business units, in addition to things that are looking a little bit farther afield. Yeah, that's true. I think one of the interesting things that we've been able to do is to demonstrate the value of bringing in some external resources to help with things like simulation, complex CFD analyses, for example, or to just help to get some outside laboratory expertise in to help with new product development where it's needed.
So going forward, how do you see Worthington evolving, and some of the new topics that are interesting or exciting to you, or the things that could be really promising future opportunities?
Well, I think one of the things is we'll keep doing what we're doing, right? Mm-hmm. Our team is really good at taking apart emerging trends, water or healthcare or things like that. We're getting really good at taking those things apart, and obviously we lean on Lux a lot for help in those areas. And the idea is that we'll keep doing that and keep refining our best practices in those areas, and then work with our senior leadership team to identify either internal leaders that can take on a new business, or to bring in external leadership to help us with these new opportunities that we find for the company.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you very much for the time. I appreciate the discussion and sharing some of your experiences, and hope you enjoy the rest of the summit here.
Thank you very much. And I got to say, I'm a big fan of Lux. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.